Well, super excited to be here with Jim Groves, the co-founder or founder of Rubberdesk. And it's funny, we were just sitting here talking about all the different ways we can take this conversation. And so appreciate you
Mm,
joining. It's actually 6 a.m. where you sit.
that's right.
Um, and it is 3 p.m. where I sit. So thank you for being a lark and joining us early.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, either a lark or an owl, right? And I can't do evenings, so you've got me at the right end of the day.
That's funny. And I'm really the opposite, right? Is I just get going in the evenings and then I've learned to be a lark just because a lot of times when I travel, I'm like, I want to get as much time wherever I'm going as possible. So a lot of times I'll be on a 5 or 6 a.m.
Yeah,
flight, but you were just sharing that you didn't sleep super well because you were afraid to miss the alarm for this. And that happens to me all the
exactly.
time too.
I
So
had that mental alarm clock kicking me up and going, is it time now? Is it time? What about now? What about now?
well, so excited that you joined me. And I mean, I think there's a bunch of different directions we can take this from, everything that you cover
Yeah,
with Rubber Desk, and you cover multiple continents and countries and all kinds of fun stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm going to
And we're
start with
growing and
this.
we've got some new products coming on. So we've got some market analytics we look at. There's all sorts of things to talk about.
Yeah. So, it's funny. We're coming fresh off of Juicy last week here in the
Mm,
US. We were up in New York, and Yardi shared some of their metrics on growth and different things. And so I think data is so valuable and so important. And we've been
yeah.
really bad overall as an industry sharing those numbers and things like that. So we're going to start with
Yeah.
this. If I were to ask you the three things that you are most passionate about inside of the industry, what would they be?
Great. Wow. I don't know if I can get up to three, but let's have a go. Transparency, I guess, would be a starting point. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I got into this industry, right? I think transparency in markets is something which is often lacking and can lead to poor price discovery, poor experience for customers, whoever they be on the buy side or the sell side. So I think transparency is probably where I always start with these conversations. And it's kind of one of the key pillars of why we built Rubberdesk, to provide that transparency around the industry. Secondly, I've got to say technology. I'm a tech person. That's my background. I was in banking for 19 years, initially in the technology department, and then into the trading and the algorithmic trading sector departments and desks. So
Okay.
my background is very tech biased and tech focused. And it's kind of that technology that we've brought to what we do. And that's where I see a big lift within the industry coming. And then I guess diversity, right? I mean, we've just got a what a diverse universe of people, of operators, of products, of locations. It's just, yeah, these are the three things I guess that if you ask me another day, I'll come up with a different three. But right now,
That's
top
the
of my
beauty
head,
of it, right? That's the beauty of
yeah,
being an entrepreneur is, I mean, that's we get to chase shiny objects and, just where our
100%.
passions are. And, when we get to the end of the day and the owls are starting to come out, it's different for you
Mm.
because you're now tired and those three are completely different. But okay, why Rubber Desk? I mean, where did you come
Yeah.
up with that name and why?
Yeah. So came up with a name originally to be catchy, to be quirky, to be memorable, to create some kind of, when people hear it, they kind of remember it a little bit. It
Yeah.
stands out more than Office this or Office that or whatever, something that all seem to merge into one. And I wanted it to be quirky enough that we would kind of have that brand awareness and we could
Okay.
generate brand awareness where people go, oh yeah, I've heard of that. And then the idea would be that we'd back it up with great customer service, great experience that would make it a really sticky place. So it became something that someone would go, oh, you should try Rubberdesk. I had a great experience with them. So that was kind of where the name, the quirkiness of rubber, flex, and desk, and it was kind of looking at, I thought of Air Desk or kind of Airbnb type thing,
Okay.
and yeah, that was kind of where we were going, but that wasn't available. So you've got to go with what's the card you're dealt. And where the idea came from, well, I've always been in markets and I've always been around, like I said before, technology. And I figured that I wanted a new challenge outside of financial markets and one that I felt was ripe for being disrupted by technology. And I looked around for the most old school brokered market that I could think of, and property came to
Yeah.
mind. And it is probably one of the most conservative asset classes that's out there. It's a slow moving product by the nature of the beast. It talks, we deal in buildings. And I wanted to work in create something that was faster paced and worked at a higher velocity and could change a market. And so that's why I wanted to do something in Flex. And I didn't realize it was in Flex at the time, but it was about dealing in spare office space and this idea of renting out your excess capacity. But then it transformed into becoming a broker for flexible office space.
And what is your background?
So I left school and joined the army and was
Okay.
on a what they call a short service limited commission for a year to kind of figure out what I wanted to do and travel the world. And then I went to uni and studied mechanical engineering and came out as an engineer, and
Okay.
then went into computer science and worked at UBS Investment Bank for the best part of 20 years, moving
Oh,
from
wow.
department to department, from location to location, doing something different and exploring and building trading systems, and then working on algorithmic trading desk, and then trading for superannuation funds. So I've kind of done everything. I've done lots.
Wow, that's awesome. And we talked about it 6 a.m. there, 3 p.m. here. Where are you? Where do you sit
Mm.
for people that don't know you?
Yeah. So I'm British, but 17, 18 years ago now, I moved out to Australia. So sat in Sydney with great, great countryside and great landscape right outside, right outside the door. We've got a dam out this way where you can go for a run and see great wildlife. Saw a wallaby around there the other day. We've got down the road, we've got Manly where you can go for a swim in the morning and it's absolutely stunning. So yeah, I'm one of the most beautiful places in the world, I think.
Yeah, when I was there in August, I got a chance to explore some of those things. And I'll tell you, I stayed down by the water and
Yeah,
just running by the Opera House, right? It's just so
yeah,
iconic,
it
right?
is. Right.
And it's such a touristy thing to do, but I did it as
Oh,
much as I could when I
yeah.
could.
Yeah, and
Uh,
look, you know what, around there is absolutely stunning. I'll go for a walk at lunch just to clear my mind, and when I'm in the city every day, and it's I go for a walk through botanical gardens and just surrounded by these beautiful gardens and with views over the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House. It's fantastic.
yeah, it's awesome. And then got to spend some time on a boat and just take in the sight. So
Lovely.
it's beautiful. I mean, I look forward to being out there again.
You
So
travel a
let's
lot,
talk
right?
about,
So
excuse me.
you travel a lot, right? I mean, you're
I
always on the
travel a
road.
third of the year.
Well,
Last
so
year when I went out there, I was gone for 30
that-
days. I was in South Africa
that's right.
hunting for 10 days, and then I was there in Australia for 10, and then on my way home, I stopped by and did the whole beach thing for 10 days as well.
Oh, how was that unwinding? Was that was just pure R&R, right?
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, I left the resort twice, and both times were because I was on a run, and I basically security got to the point they knew I ran all the way down the road that led into the resort, and then I turned back around, and there was a couple times where I just kept going on the main street. But yeah, I purposely did not do any tours, you know, even to the point where I was very intentional, even not connecting with people at the resort, because that's technically what I typically do is I love people and I connect with them and I ask
Yeah,
questions, and the hard part is I end up coaching or spending time with dealing with other people's
yeah, yeah,
issues and just just their life quandaries, right? And it was one of
yeah.
those where I was like, I want to figure out what it is I want for me and what are the next steps. And you know, at 47, it's interesting to go, okay, what do I want to keep
Mm,
doing what I'm doing? Back to, I mean, 20 years of
yeah,
investment banking. At some point, you look up and you're like, man,
yeah,
UBS is a great company and what I'm getting to do is awesome, but I want
100%.
something different.
Absolutely. And that was the story. That was exactly the same story. 20 years. I had a change of portfolio and responsibilities probably every 3 or 4 years. So it always
Yeah.
felt fresh. Moving around, working with different teams, different clients, different challenges, and vastly different. I mean, going from technology and development to trading and the algorithmic trading, working with clients on those, and then into working dealing with a pension fund. So it's vastly different. But then you get to the point where you go, okay, now what about me? What do I want to do? And those
Uh,
breaks are great. And sometimes I'm the same. I get fed up with peopling. I've done too much peopling. I need to unpeople a little bit and sit down and read.
yeah, and that's just it. Sometimes we just have to disconnect, right? And just figure out what is it that I want, right? And
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
well, jumping in, okay, so transparency was number one, right? And
that's
I'm
right.
telling you, that's what we're all trying to figure out is, and I said it already. I mean, data and just
Mm,
understanding where we are, the science of it, right? I think there's an art element to it as well, but the data of going, okay, where do we start and how do we go? How do we make different decisions based off of knowing the analytics is such a
yeah,
big part
yeah,
of it.
yeah,
Tell us about Rubberdesk. How do you guys,
yeah,
how do you keep track of the data?
yeah,
What makes you unique and different from some of the
yeah,
other,
yeah.
would it be fair to call you an aggregator or what would be the fair
So
term? Office, flex
that's a
broker.
common that's a really common term, right? An aggregator. And I feel I'm glad you brought it up, right? Because I think it's what are we to the end customer? We are to the
Yeah.
tenant, the occupier. That's who our customer is, right? We are a broker and we broker and find them the right office space for their needs.
Okay.
Whether or not that's using aggregation, some people call it a web broker, whatever it be. You know what? We've just got more tools than the other guys.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we've built more technology to help customers find those answers. We're still helping them. We're still broking office space for them. So we call ourselves office brokers and we
Okay.
specialize in flex. We've built a whole load of tools that help our customers to aggregate the market. And you know what? That's what every single broker should be doing, right? If you go to a broker and they're not saying, I've aggregated and I've looked at the whole market for you and I've found the right options, then what's their job? What have they done? They've picked their
Yeah.
favorite or they've gone to their buddy down the road. So look, everybody firstly should be aggregating and looking at the whole market to understand it. What are we doing? I talked about transparency. And so one of the key tenets of Rubberdesk is that we try and track, display, and maintain what's available in any one location, any office that's available, because we get told that by the operators, and we work with all of them, 620 across the UK, Ireland, and Australia. We track and we update. We've got about 9,500 listings that we've got on the platform. That's today. It'll
Okay.
be 9,400 tomorrow. It'll be 9,600 the day after. It will change daily as offices get sold and as offices come online, right? And then we display and show the rate that they're available for. So we've gone from being everything being price and application to being right. Here's what we've got. Let's create you a shortlist in 20 seconds using our AI that takes your brief and turns it into a shortlist or actually a long list, right, of the best options that are available there for you. And then one of our team will talk to the customer about finding the right match. Now, you got that data, right? And you got all that information coming in. And so what we said was, well, why don't we just store it every week and create a snapshot? So you then start to generate this time series data, and we can look at what's happened to availability over the course of the last year. What are the ebbs and flows been like? How much new stock have we got on? Where is it? And what's happened to the prices? And we might see typical market dynamics like a decrease in available supply results in an increase in price in rates that are on offices. And so those are the sorts of things we're doing. We're talking about with transparency. We take it, we've got tools, we've got AI tools that help us ingest a lot of data from when the operators send it out, from spreadsheet to email to PDF to whatever it be. However they get it to us, we ingest it and put it online.
So let's talk about that side of it, right? Is I mean you cover I mean you mentioned multiple countries. that you cover. I mean, so how are you, what are you seeing? I mean, as you look
Mm,
across the UK, Ireland,
mm,
Australia, kind of, are you seeing, what patterns are you seeing with the operators? What patterns are you seeing
mm.
with the consumer, right? Whether it be
Yep.
some type
Yep.
of enterprise user or something else. What?
We're seeing so the patterns or the general themes are that there's a huge diversity of choice. And, before I mentioned 620 operators, right? That's enormous amount. That's a really long tail. There's a real bespokeness around key with some operators that are providing real niche options, be it by location, geography, or quality, or potential offering. And you kind of see that when you go to some of these conferences and the difference in the offerings that are out there.
Yeah.
And then there are the behemoths that are out there, which probably, if you said the top 15 operators would probably account for 40% of the available market. That's probably true to a degree, but there's still a huge tail of supply. So, as well as that sort of diversity, we're sort of seeing a real spectrum of offerings. You've got everything from absolute bare bones, no frills, budget. It's a boring office. It does what it says on the tin, and it's perfect for those customers that just want the physical space, all the way through to the premium, which might include wellness offerings, ice baths, saunas, steam rooms, massage therapy, a gym, bike parking, end of trip, all of these things, event space, terraces, and great quality fit outs. So we kind of see that broad spectrum, and they've all got their market, and they've all got their niche that they fill,
Yep.
and their demographic that they talk to, right? So from the client, that's from the operator side. From the client side, we kind of see the similar sort of spectrum. There is no who's looking for office space today. It's that same, there's somebody for every one of those buckets along the way. And it could be based on the sort of the revenue generation of the tenants who are going to be there, where they sit in that demographic. You don't put call centers in core CBD, central London, in the most premium space. There's a skill set that will go into that each of those right spaces. So lots of it's about KYC, know your client. Who are they? What do they need? What are they looking for? And then trying to match it with the right operators.
And when you're putting all that information together, I mean, what is it? What is it that drives you about that information and
Mm,
everything else to come up with, now leading to the next thing is technology, right? How are you using that
mm,
information to then drive the
yeah.
technology?
So we can use the information is super useful, and there's sort of one metric that I just looked at the other week, which struck me as a real eye opener. Right, we think about flex space. What percentage of the market of the office space market is flexible co-working office space? And numbers vary. There's this report that it's going to be up to 20% or whatever it be. But
So
if
I'll tell you, Yardi just came out with the number last week. It's
oh yeah.
2.3% in the US.
Okay, well, so this is. I'm glad you've got a number. I didn't. I wasn't going to put so that number is meaningless to the tenant, right?
Yeah.
Because the tenant just goes, "Oh, well, that's great, but this
I
this
still need it.
reinforces." Yeah, exactly. I still need it. And secondly, that's from your landlord's perspective of the everything looking like a building and top-down view. The tenants is a bottom-up centric, is a tenant-centric view, which is looking upwards, right? And the tenant's looking at the world going, if it's only 2%, but I only need a five-person office, what's out there, right? Now, so we did some analysis in Sydney, and I reckon that this will be the same for every single market. But in the 1 to 5 person office space, 80% of all of their available options are serviced. Now, turn that upside down, right? You say to a tenant who's looking for a 5 person office, what percentage of the market? It's not 2.3%. It's 80% of the available office space is serviced, right? It becomes a
Yep.
very different prospect. You go to 5 to 10 person offices, and what's available today to rent, there's leases, and then there's serviced offices. Available today, 55% of the available stock is serviced office.
Yep.
So it's, you know what? That's the only thing that matters to tenants is what's available to me today, because that's what's going to drive their choice and where they look.
Yeah, and I mean, you made I mean, one of the comments as you were running through stuff, the interesting part is everything you were saying is about amenitization, right? How are we amenitizing buildings now to
Mm,
drive desire to go to them, right? And that's back in the day it was, it was F&B, food and beverage, and then it became about the gyms, and now it's about event space and conference space. And do you have not only do you have a gym, but do you have someone coming in and teaching yoga or doing personal training sessions? Not just do you have the food and beverage, but what kind of food and beverage, right? People are
yeah,
now,
yeah,
the wellness side of the world is really taken over. And
yeah, very
so
true.
there's all these dynamics that are driving people into spaces.
Yeah,
And the interesting part is back in the day, real estate was decided by companies executives, and now it's decided by the we'll call it the talent that's going. I'm not making an hour commute on a bus or a train or driving each
yeah,
way, right? I
yeah,
want to be close to home, and I want to
yeah,
be able to enjoy life to a certain extent.
yeah.
So I think some of those
Well,
things
certainly
can
don't
make
want
it,
to do that and sit in a crappy office, right? I mean,
yeah.
yeah, that's that the experience of when you get there, and the draw needs to be a lot stronger than it ever used to be, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, you sat in UBS, big
Mm,
old corporate offices, right? So, what,
100%.
how has that experience changed from where you were to where I'm sure you still have colleagues that still do that. They're
Yeah,
just like, why do you
yeah.
do this?
So the look, so I don't ever remember working remotely in 20 years. There was just not, I'd worked from different UBS offices, but I would never have worked remotely from home. And that experience has obviously changed. You know, there's through the pandemic, everybody was forced to some degree. And so it became that, well, this is an alternative option and it is a viable option now. But there's still a hugely strong, I mean, Jamie Dimon was just, banging the desk, right, about getting people back into the office. And it's true that productivity is improved when people are together, that they are able to collaborate easier and better, and you can get things done. You can make decisions quicker. You can engage your customers faster because you're able to turn around ideas and produce content or produce whatever product you are, certain goods and service that you produce. So there's it for me, the ability to be remote or to go into the office, it's a choice that I've made to go into the office. And
Yep.
it's something that works for me to be around people, to have that collegiate and that collaborative environment to be in. But I appreciate the fact that I can work remotely a day, a fortnight if I need to, or whatever it be. So that's been enjoyable.
So, quality of life is so important. So, let's
Yeah.
talk about your quality of life. Like when you're
Mm,
not working, what do you
yeah.
enjoy doing? What is again now the opposite, right? You gave us your passions professionally. What are your passions
Yeah.
personally? And what
Yeah.
makes you smile?
So family, yeah, family is a big one, right? And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that first. I've got a bit, and I'll include the dog in that because that's important to me. But yeah, I've got two sons, and a wife and two sons, and seeing them grow up and watching them play football or go to their events is
So which
always
football are
good
we?
fun.
So I live in the U.S., so it's
Yeah,
football like tackle, and then I'm Mexican, Italian, so their football is you're kicking a
there you go.
ball, playing
That's right.
soccer. So
Yes,
which one is it?
it's the one that if you follow your roots, you'll find the right one, and it's
Yeah, right, exactly. They
the
ruined
little
it.
ra the the round ball that you've got the World Cup coming to North America
I do,
in a
man,
couple of
and it is
months.
insane. It's so heartbreaking. The prices are astronomical. So I'll
I've
tell
heard.
you, in 2014, I traveled down to Brazil, and
Oh,
that was amazing.
yeah,
It was incredible. I got to go see a Mexico game, I got to go see a US game, and then we picked up a
yeah,
couple other random games. But I mean, ticket prices are ridiculous, right? It's like
Wow.
$1,200 US dollars to go
Wow.
to a game here in Dallas. And
Yeah.
even then, I think the cheapest tickets I've found are in Santa Clara, which is in California, and they're
Yeah.
$700 still, and it's to watch Croatia versus some random Jordan. And I'm like, I can't travel there and
No.
get excited about watching that game. And
Yeah. Yeah.
with technology the way it is now, I mean, we have these awesome bars here, or they're really event facilities that, I mean, you feel like you're in the stadium, right? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. Right. Right.
how do you justify some of those things? And it's heartbreaking. And it kind of leads to technology that we're about to get to, right? But
Yeah.
AI and dynamic pricing is what FIFA is using in order to manage these ticket costs.
Yeah. Dynamic gouging, I think
Yeah,
it feels like, right?
that's a good
It's
way
just
to look
like,
at it.
it's just
Um,
how much can we gouge on
yeah.
the pricing.
All right, so we got off topic. Your two sons, how old are they?
They are turning 20 and 20 in August, twins.
Oh, I was about to say that's awesome. And what positions did they play?
Defenders. So yeah,
That's the way to go.
big units. Although Jack's team was winning this last week, and so they put him up front, and he scored a pinger, as he said. Back of
That's
the net.
awesome.
So yeah, they're kind of move around, but yeah, they're both defenders. So yeah, and the kind of list leads on to another passion, which would be football. Big fan. Crystal Palace would be my team from London,
Okay.
South London. Mid-table mediocrity, but FA Cup champions from last year. So we've got a bit of silverware now, which gets me right there.
Uh, Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so I was a sweeper and I played in the uni a little bit. And
Oh.
so until I realized I wasn't gonna be playing after the uni and it was time to start figuring out how
Yeah.
I was gonna make money the rest of my life. So I kind of left it. But even through
Yeah.
I'm 47 now, but even through my
Mm.
20s, I would play 5 days a week on different teams, indoor and outdoors. And then
Brilliant.
even in my early 30s.
Yeah.
But man, I just love
Now
being on the
everything aches.
pitch. It's incredible.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant.
All right. So wife, does she work
Yes.
other
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
managing the household, which is
No,
a
it's
job in itself?
100%. Damn right it is. But that's a shared job that we both do.
Awesome.
Sarah she works for a company that works in workplace diversity and gender equality,
Okay.
family friendly workplaces, and helping business understand and manage that for their staff. She also does a lot of executive coaching, working with lawyers, going through the partnership ordeal and
Okay.
coaching them through that process. And she's been in sort of management consulting for a number of years before we came out to Australia. So yeah,
Okay.
she's very busy. She's a really busy one.
Well, to me, it's always interesting. I mean, who you pick as your life partner is one of the most important decisions that you make in your life.
Mm.
Aside for a lot of people, faith, it's the second most important decision. And so certainly, I've experienced a lot of times overachievers pick overachievers. And it sounds kind of like that's what's happened here.
I don't know about look. She's incredibly hardworking and grounded, and is the sensible one between us, I'd say.
Well, she is the woman, right? That's the
You
way it
go. Right.
works.
Yeah, I don't know how else to say it.
They've got the wisdom. Sometimes they have to
Yes,
rein us
yes.
in. Awesome. Okay, technology. We kind of tapped into that, right?
Mm.
You're using AI
Yeah,
in a big way. I
yeah,
mean, I think there's so many different ways AI is dragging us, and I do mean dragging us in some ways. And we're trying to keep up with how quickly it's moving and shifting and
yep,
changing. And
yep,
so
yep,
so help me understand kind of how are you using AI with Rubberdesk to manage
yeah,
data or
yeah.
do just overall analytics of kind of where the business is headed.
Yeah. So look, you're right. It's moving at a very fast pace. We have wanted to be at the front of that curve with everything we do. And so what we've done is given access to AI tools and functionality to everybody in the team, from the junior team members who are managing the listings process, and they've used it to create tools to help them do that job, right? to our developers. We got a team of developers that build Rubberdesk and a new product that we have coming up. And the team they've seen their productivity gains go fourfold. So we've gone from a single developer who can just start doing the coding and is almost been delighted by having the autocomplete when he's writing some class objects or making changes to code, to now being this kind of conductor that's pulling the strings of Claude code to help him produce and help them produce 4 times as much code as they were doing previously. So the 3 developers have been really, we've only got a small team, three developers, right? But they've been able to produce an awful lot of great product. And that product, we kind of thought about how can we best use it. Well, we kind of put it into the I mentioned before, the instant quote, right? We take a customer's, or a tenant can enter their brief and within 20 seconds get an instant quote of what's available, where it is, see it on a map, see the details, see images, see pricing. And so that's kind of been transformational. And we also use it to ingest and list all the availability. So to take all that information, to keep it up to date and keep it accurate. And with 9,500 listings, that's a lot of work, right, to maintain. We try and keep it up to date. We don't always succeed. We display, we're really open and transparent about how when things were last updated, and we show, and there'll be some that will be months old, but others mostly is kind of this month we've got pricing for. And that's kind of a key differentiator, to the extent where we saw other brokers on Rubberdesk looking at what's available because it was unique data, right? And I've called them up on it and called them out and spoken to other brokers, large brokers who don't have the same tools. So what we then did was we said, right, let's build Rubberdesk for brokers. Let's give them a product where they can see all the availability. They can create shortlists for their client. They can create a lovely tenant report. They can send it to their tenant and they can get an alert when their tenant opens it and looks at it. They can get all these engagement notifications. So that's what we're building, and that's what we're about to release in May. GoFlex, and that will be a broker, tenant rep, and agent focused broker product that they can use to market flex space.
Yeah. And I mean, I just think it's so interesting as, being a real estate broker here in the US, our model is so different than the rest of the world, right? And so it's commission based. And so therefore, they're pushing things that shouldn't be pushed just based off of their overall
fee structure.
Yeah, their personal incentives, right, of a fee structure versus doing the right thing for either, the landlord client or the tenant, if you will, client. Yeah. And so I think that's where the UK and other parts of the world have gotten it right.
I think there's still issues there, right? I think there's still a bias, and there's still that kind of bias, and the fee, while the commissions aren't on the same scale as in the US, where it is, leans heavily into the commission structure versus a base salary, it is still heavily commission focused and commission generating roles. There's always going to be a bias. There's always going to be, and that bias could just be, it was the last guy that I spoke to that told me about what office space they've got available, or it's the last operator that took me out for a long lunch, or it's the one that's paying 15% comms or 20% comms.
Yeah.
So, and I think that a bit more transparency about what's available in the market will improve things. And okay. I'm not there to judge. All we want to do is we've built a SaaS product that we will give to brokers, and they can do with it what they want.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's such an important part of just being able to educate, right? And that's what's important to me. It's, back to the podcast, when I first reached out to Jamie, she's like, well, how do you want to monetize this? And I'm like, I just want to educate and have really great conversations with people and help them understand what's going on in the industry and get to know
Yeah,
people and why they do what they do and
yeah,
all those
yeah,
things. So
yeah. And I think that nothing bad happens from conversations, right? Everything,
no,
only good things come out of talking to people and finding out what and learning a bit about them and what they do. By the way, where are you? What's that behind you?
that's actually well,
I know
it's a
it's yes,
background,
it's a
but it's
background.
Venture X.
Ah,
So
nice.
Venture X is, I
Yeah,
know, I
yeah,
think they were looking at coming to Australia. I don't know if they've actually opened anything, but they're
right,
franchise driven, right? Is
right, right.
and it's a franchise driven model. And I know they were talking to a couple groups they've spoken to about being the market, buying the market basically to go out and
Yeah,
start
yeah,
franchising. And so, but I mean, I just it's a great background and it's easy to do. But typically, whatever operator I have their background on. And sometimes some people are a little more hesitant of my
yeah, yeah.
backdrops.
I can see why you got the Venture X up. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. All right. Well, the last one's diversity, right? So help me understand, diversity is something you're passionate about in the workforce, obviously. I mean,
Yeah,
Sarah does some of it. You shared some of those
yeah,
conversations.
yeah.
So where's that passion come from?
So the diversity piece is about people, but it's about product. It's
Yeah.
about the choices that we make in how we work and what we do. And it's the bit that I think brings me a fair amount of joy in making every day different, right? It's
Yep.
the it's the piece that stops everything from being dull and gray and means that I'm always looking at, I mean, I've got one of those minds that is looking at the next shiny thing and then the next shiny thing and then the next shiny thing. and I need to be have that sort of stimulus around me. Within the team, we've got a really good mix of people, different backgrounds, and that have come together to produce that all have the same. They've got one, we've all got one defining rule around who we hire and how we hire, and we've got a no dickheads policy,
Great
and
policy.
it's a great policy. It was David, my co-founder, who's our CTO, and is just does the most amazing work and is an absolute legend, and is very grounded. And when we were hiring hire number one, we said, well, what kind of person are we looking for? Should we start to build out a profile of what we're looking at? And he just said, I think we just keep it simple and have a zero, no dickhead policy, and that's all.
That's awesome.
And he's been spot on. And a few times our spidey senses have tingled that there may have been a dickhead in the room, and it's so we've followed those feelings, and we've kind of stayed true to the policy. So that's how we roll. In the product, the diversity is what I think makes it really interesting. And honestly, if there wasn't any diversity, there would be no need for brokers because everything would look the same, right? And
Yep.
there'd be zero challenge. And customers would just walk out onto the street and grab the first one that they saw, the first office that they saw, and that would be it. So it's through that diversity and that huge spectrum of choice that's out there that I think that makes it interesting for me and keeps me passionate.
Okay. And you mentioned diversity of product, right? I mean, obviously, I
Hmm.
think sometimes as you go out and you're helping people, they don't realize the diversity of products that are out there, right? As I mean, I'll use ServCorp, which has been around forever there in Australia. Is I
Yep.
mean, for the most part, those are old, traditional, stuffy executive suites, right? And people think that that's what it's all about, and they
Mm.
don't realize you have, you know, a variety of other products out there, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
Well, you
that's
know
so
what? It's
important.
interesting about ServCorp even that they've got some new offices coming on, which do look really different as well, right? And they've the old style of offices, which, people might think of Regis. That might have been their first experience of an office, Regis or ServCorp back in the 90s or early 2000s. And that's stuck with them. And they think that that's what our industry is all about. And they haven't seen the latest offerings, which combine hospitality and amenities with third spaces and event spaces and things just taken care of for you. that sort of concierge aspect. And within that, there's a whole category of we've got offices with bowling alleys and golf simulators. There's catering. There's some that put on breakfast every morning for all their members and offer evening drinks on a every other Thursday, or do events. And so and it'll create this kind of collegiate environment for them for their members. So yeah, look, it's just a huge variety, and that's why first off. KYC, know your client, right?
Yep.
What do they need? What are they looking for? Where are they on that spectrum? What matters and what's important to them? And people always get hyper focused on price, but honestly, budget is the last thing you get to, because it's the thing which tenants think they know and or often have a budget in mind, which is sometimes based on hope or on desperation or not based on any reality.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, that was one of my favorite parts about coming out to Australia and getting it. There'd been brands that I'd been following for a while. I mean, but to actually sit there and go into one of Toby's creative cube spaces
Yeah,
and
great.
understand, this is what my vision was, and this is what I was thinking, and this is what I'm doing. And he's got
Yeah,
basketball courts and
I know. How fired
all
up do
these
you how fired up do you feel just working there, right? I mean, it's
think
awesome.
tanks and all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff. And then, then you turn around, and I still remember Jesse with Watso invited me to go tour one of her spaces, and she pulled up in her Tesla that had Watso on the side of it. I'm like, to find out it was her daily car, right? That's how passionate she is about it. And
yeah,
they own some of their buildings, but you go through, and a lot of their spaces are basically, they've reused things inside the space. And so, their ability to recycle goods to be able to create this incredible environment. Right.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you turn around and you go to like a hub, Australia, with Brad, who I was just with last week in New York for Juicy. And I mean, upscale, and you got the F&B component, and you have different
yeah,
things. So it was so cool just to get out there and see the variety of products, right? And I think that's a
yeah,
big
huge.
part.
Yeah,
Understanding with your clients is, what are you looking for, right? What's important to you? What gets you excited, right? What drives you?
yeah,
What gets you wanting
yeah,
to go to the office and all those things.
absolutely. Yeah, and how do you work today? What's important to you? Where
Yeah.
do you see customers? How does your team work? Are they collaborative? How often are they coming in? How often do you want them to come in? These are key things. You get some customers who don't care about their employees. They just want bums on seats. And you know
Yeah.
what? Fine. I'm okay with that. That's up to them.
So what are you excited about in the rest of 2026 going into 27? What do you think the future holds for us?
So I think it's a tricky time, 2026, it feels. There's a fair amount of uncertainty in the market, I feel. There is some challenges and headwinds with economics and interest rates and the like, which are affecting lots of businesses. That kind of uncertainty is gonna impact lots of our tenants. For for those folks, I think it's going to be Flex is going to have a real appeal in terms of the ability to have low commitment and stay there for a year at a time rather than committing to longer term spaces. We are the sector of choice when businesses have uncertainty in their forecasts. For us at Rubberdesk, we've got two really exciting things that we're working on. The first is we're globalizing the platform.
Okay.
So we currently have rubberdesk.co.uk, rubberdesk.com.au, and rubberdesk.ie, which is a historical thing. We're moving everything going to move everything over to rubberdesk.com and go global, launch across APAC, roll out and
Okay.
improve across the US. And we want to grow our geographical reach through the Rubberdesk platform. Then, as I mentioned before, the thing I'm really excited about is to leverage our inventory and the supply side that we've got on Rubberdesk and put it onto GoFlex. And we're going to start giving that out to brokers, agents, tenant reps And my goal is that my dream would be that by the end of the year, we have got flex and co-working offices and serviced offices and managed offices onto every tenant report that goes out alongside leases, right? They should be, in
Yep.
my mind, side by side. A tenant should be given, here's your report of what's available in the market and what we think the best options are for you. And there should be a component which has serviced, managed, and leasing
Yep.
in there. So that's where we're headed, and that's what we're building out. And we hope to have that live in our first beta out in May.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and I mean, I think back to the numbers, right? Is we're at 2.3, we'll just call it south of 3% here. And I mean, people were talking about at one point 20, 30% by 2030. It's like, how do we get to 5%? How do we get to 10%? How do we get to 12
Yeah,
and
yeah,
15%? Why are we trying to get to a third of the market? So
yeah,
it'll be fun to just see those numbers continue to grow as we get more buy-in and more products and everything else. So that'll be exciting. All
yeah.
right, last question. If Sarah was sitting here, what are the three things she would say she loves about you most?
Wow. I think the first one, I always carry a handkerchief.
True gentleman.
I'm hardworking and I'm a family man. I think I'm boring.
Those aren't boring, right? I mean, and so, you know, they're consistent, right? And so,
I cook a mean paella. Uh,
oh, okay.
there
Next time I come out to Sydney,
you go.
I'm gonna come over for paella. I'd
Come
love to.
over. Oh man,
Yeah,
and the secret is in the stock. So it's all about making a good stock beforehand. So yeah, I think that look, I made one at the weekend and I'd hope that would feature.
that's awesome. I love that. Well, really appreciate you joining me and having this conversation, and look forward to hearing more from you and Rubberdesk continue to grow, and
Thanks.
just it's going to be a great year.
Yeah, awesome. Great to see you, Giovanni.
Likewise.
Cool. Thanks, man.